Steveston has always been a place of hard work, a place to visit and call home. This is a storied place. Stories of individual grit and determination show just how hard community members have fought to build and preserve this place. And it is this spirit that runs through its very fabric. Steveston has always been an important gathering place, bringing people near and far to its shores. Indigenous peoples, attracted by a wealth of fish and other resources, continue to hold important connections to the area. Steveston's location close to the Fraser River and the Pacific Ocean also brought the waves of migrants and workers, including Chinese laborers and European settlers who were determined to make a living. The Steves family was one of the first European settler families to gather here, building their farmhouse along the shore. Soon after, early homesteaders banded together to create the municipality of Richmond. The neighborhood of Steveston was born. While farming was the main occupation of most of the settlers, a booming fishing industry would soon define this place. Gihei Kuno arrived from Mio, Japan. Gihei, one of the first Japanese people to settle in Steveston, was impressed by the sight and smell of the Fraser River. Writing home about the salmon that were so abundant they almost leaped into the fishing boats. His descriptions inspired many from his village to relocate to Steveston in search of a better life. Through this intense first period of migration, Steveston took on a new meaning as an international destination, and its landscape was in turn transformed by the vigor and hard work of early settler farmers, laborers, workers, and fishermen. Salmon canneries soon dotted the waterfront, while brothels and saloons, mostly segregated, provided laborers with an escape from the grind of daily working life. As Steveston grew, so did the need for services. Community determination and volunteerism brought them into being. The first church, the Steveston Methodist Church, was built in 1894. The next year, in 1895, the Hong Wo & Co. store opened. In 1900, in response to worsening health conditions, the Japanese Fishermen's Benevolent Society, led by Tomokichi Homa, funded and built Richmond's first hospital, the Steveston Japanese Hospital. Although it was funded largely by the society, the hospital was open to everyone, providing services for free to those who could not afford to pay. This hospital marked the start of socialized health care in Canada. A few years later, in 1905, the interurban tram arrived in Steveston, bringing electricity with it. And in 1909, Japanese children barred from attending public school were finally able to attend their own school built by the Japanese community. This was soon followed, in 1914, by the construction of the first kendo dojo in Canada. This early era of migration, change, and perseverance would in some ways set the tone for what was to come. Because yet another story, also woven into the fabric of this place, is of adversity. In 1913 and 14, rock slides up the Fraser Canyon in the middle of a peak salmon run prevented the salmon from reaching their spawning grounds and the ocean. This disaster, coupled with overfishing, caused a massive drop in the salmon population, impacting the entire ecosystem and the Steveston community. Then, only 4 years later, a massive fire roared through Steveston, destroying 3 hotels, 3 canneries, and many stores and businesses. The fire left over 600 Japanese and Chinese people homeless, and most of Steveston in ashes. Through incredible determination, residents were able to change this tale from one of destruction to one of resiliency. People worked hard to repair and rebuild. the Hepworth Building at the corner of Moncton and 2nd Avenue was restored. Soon after, the Japanese-Canadian community successfully negotiated the desegregation of Lord Byng School by funding new classrooms for the building. The school became the first fully integrated school in Richmond, and Hidehiro Shimizu became the first certified Japanese-Canadian to teach in British Columbia. Soon after, in 1928, Richmond's first Buddhist temple was built. This story of the community overcoming adversity and incredible odds would take another turn. In response to the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 during World War II, the Canadian government declared Japanese Canadians to be enemy aliens. All property was confiscated. Japanese Canadians in Steveston were forced to leave everything behind and board the tram to be processed and interned. Overnight, Steveston lost 3/4 of its population. It was like a ghost town. Schools were emptied of students. Thriving businesses closed. Friendships and relationships lost. Many Japanese Canadians spent internment dreaming of returning to Steveston, but it wasn't until 1949 that some were able to make their way back home. A few were able to repurchase their former businesses and properties. The Steveston Community Society had fought for years to establish a permanent community centre. With the re-engagement of Japanese Canadian neighbours and a $15,000 contribution from the Japanese Canadian Community Association, the Steveston Community Centre was completed in 1957. This represented a renewed sense of community pride and celebration of Steveston's diversity. In the following 2 decades, Steveston flourished. By the late 1970s, changes to transportation and the fishing industries brought increasing challenges. Residents again needed to rally together to preserve community stories. While Moncton Street remained largely the same, single-family homes began to replace cannery housing. But locals worked hard to keep Steveston's community fishing heritage alive. Steveston residents formed the Steveston Historical Society to preserve the heritage and character of this special place. In 1979, thanks largely to the efforts of residents, the Gulf of Georgia Cannery was saved from demolition and reborn as a National Historic Site. This sense of community spirit through the decades helped to create another golden era for Steveston, a place that today is recognized as one of the best neighborhoods in the Lower Mainland, as well as a global tourism destination and prime Hollywood North filming location. While much has changed, Steveston remains a place of story. If you look closely, you'll see that this place has always been a place to gather, a place of industry. And thanks to the love, strength, and determination of locals, a place to visit and call home.